Good evening. Welcome to the most wonderful show called Positively Positive. I can't say any more than the people coming in from all over the country with their stories. That's why this is Positively Positive, because people are telling their stories of how they're involved with HIV. And that's what this show is specifically about. How and why and where and when. How did you get involved with HIV? How necessary is a show like this? How many thousands of you even have stories you want to tell, but you don't know where to tell them or who to tell them to? Well, when you see a number on the screen or you contact me or Campbell Health Solutions, you will be able to click on a link that says Positively Positive. We'll send it to you. And we've had people from Washington and DC and Arizona, and the last one was from South Carolina. It's amazing how it's spreading. And that's what's wonderful is you are spreading the word about a storytelling show. I tell your story as I interview you, and then it's all just you and me in a sit down session that is warm and wonderful. And I'm so proud that we could do this groundbreaking show. So anyway, that's about what the show is about. I'm going to just refer you to susanmintz.com. That's where you can go through my website. You can go on the books page and you can see why I'm so involved with HIV and AIDS, having lost my husband in 1994 from AIDS-related pneumonia. He was quite ill in 92. I documented every part of his illness from 1992 to 1994, and then eventually made it into my book, Committed to Love, A Woman's Journey Through Love and Loss. It is an amazing book with issues, 24 chapters with issues about how we were able to get through and manage from every emotion, every issue, every challenge, every obstacle. And if you took HIV out of this component and put another long-term illness in, I can promise you my book will help you to get through your darkest times with hope and faith and love and commitment to love. My second book is called And I Held Their Hands with a Hospice Heart. Hospice does not get the recognition it deserves. Hospice is a wonderful organization, and when I worked there as an 11th hour volunteer for 6 years, I found the most amazing people, from nurses, even doctors, everybody who just wanted to share what they were going through as professionals, as patients, as caregivers, and how I could relate. And again, I put my story into their story. Both books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. I suggest Amazon. They're $22.95 each. And if you're ever going to buy yourself a Christmas present, Hanukkah present, New Year's present, or anything that's going to help you along your journey, I'm telling you, this is it. So go to susanmintz.com. There's also a Positively Positive page where you can go back on and see our other interviews. We are in the new stages of doing something that's never ever been done before. And no matter what happens with the internet, we will give you amazing interviews from real people all over the country. So, without further ado, I am going to tell you one little thing about my guest. I met Lisa O'Brien, about 2.5 years ago. I met her by reading my book, Committed to Love, online, but I won't tell you any more about what happened to her. She is a dear, dear friend who's been following me, and I follow her. But because I read Committed to Love online on Facebook, we connected. You are in for an incredible interview with a woman who's involved with so many different things, different organizations, compassion, passion, and love. I've never heard her raise her voice, and I have really gotten her pissed off sometimes. So without further ado, I'm going to say, Lisa O'Brien, come on in. Hello, my friend from Longview, Florida.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm telling you, whenever we connect, whenever someone like you and I and our guests connect, and we can even see each other for 5 minutes, it's good.
Well,
How are you?
exactly.
It's
I'm
wonderful. We usually
good.
FaceTime. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. How about you?
I'm wondering, what do I look? Look at this. I mean, all dressed up at 9:30 for you, my dear.
Fabulous.
What I wanted to tell you was what I introduced you with for a moment was how we met by me reading my book, Committed to Love, which we
Hmm.
say just both of them, I might say. I have read my book. I was reading, God told me a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I lost track, to read my book, Committed to Love, online. And I started reading it online. Now you are to pick up with this story and be as detailed as you want. We got 45 minutes to an hour.
It was actually 2 years ago. March. This coming March will be 2 years. And I was in a rehab facility that was horrible. Um, and I had made the decision to just end my life. I couldn't take it anymore. They had nothing good to say. They had told me I would never control any of my bodily functions. I would never walk again. I would be a vegetable. So
But
I
that
had
was from
saved all my, yeah,
was
that was at Olive Branch. So I had saved all my pain pills up and all my sleeping aids, and I was going to take them all that night. And for some reason, I just kept getting nudged to get on Facebook, and there you were, reading your book. And I threw them all away, and I followed it from then on.
and you were
Mhm.
on every single night at 5:30 when I read. I was
Yes,
reading 30 to 6
yeah,
o'clock. But back up, your story was that you had a brain tumor, didn't you?
I did. It was a mass on the very top of my brain. Um, I didn't keep my doctor's appointment here for something, told me to go to the ER here, and they found it. They took me to Sacred Heart of Pensacola and did surgery the next morning that fast. Um, he got it all, got every bit of it. So I'm good. I walk with a cane. If I'm not using the cane, I walk around the house with no cane, which kind of freaks Patty out sometimes, but I'm determined and I'm tough. So, yes, I'm doing
But
well.
would you ever seriously have thought that 2 years ago, from where you were to where you are now, being able to travel, being able to move around, would you ever seriously have thought that you could have made that transition?
Not at the time, no, not at the time. But I'm way more determined now than I was then. So,
But
we're
Lisa
good.
really did. Lisa read, Lisa listened every single day. And it was
Yes.
months that I was reading my book. It was just that day you clicked on.
Well, when Patty brought me home, I was in the hospital bed in the other bedroom, remember? And I would get on every night and listen to you read again. So, ordered both your books, ordered your cookbook, Mrs. Boner. So, yeah, it's been a journey with you. It's been a
Unfor-
journey.
Unfortunately, at some point, I hope Mrs. Boner, the safe sex cookbook lady, gets resurrected
I think
because
you should.
it is a marvelous, marvelous book. From the moment, though, Lisa and I started to talk, I call her my wingman, and
Yes.
it was from Top Gun, but I just felt Lisa is so determined. Tell me about what you did when you were in Texas, or how determined you were to get people where they needed, or that you never gave up on trying to help people get to where they needed to go.
I did. I never gave up. Being a lesbian in this world is really hard. But a friend of mine, Stuart, he asked his mom to help found something, do a foundation so his friends could get medicine and food and doctors. And we did that in a very, very short time. We were driving down the road. I saw the building. I called, and they wanted like 400 a month. And I said, well, this is what we're wanting to do. And they gave us the building for free. We painted it purple, his favorite color. We filled it with all the groceries you can imagine, vegetables, breads. And I had a doctor on board, a dentist on board, and a nurse RN on board. And with that being said, we had 12 clients, and within 6 months, it turned into Special Resources of East Texas, Special Health Resources of East Texas. And it just ballooned from there and went statewide.
I've been after Lisa the moment we met as my wingman to connect me with one national person for one
Yes.
interview. And I'll tell you, this girl has the patience of Job because I am on her. We message back and forth several times a day. And I'm saying, I know you can do this. I know how determined you are. I know what you've done for other people. I know this is a challenge, but I know my wingman can do it. We have developed such a special relationship. And
Yeah.
also, tell me about, you are married how many years to Patty Nikolai?
July will be 18 years.
Now,
18
wonderful.
years. And I'm mad about her. I love her so much. Yes.
Tell her how you met.
Okay. So we were at work and I got transferred to her department, which was, yes, National Home Republic, something like that. And so I came over that day to sit down and I said, hey, how are you today? And she said, don't nobody want y'all over here taking her overtime. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to be here anyway, but I'm here. So have a great day. And I remember sitting down going, I like that fierce attitude, that spunkiness. And within a matter of a month, I didn't even care if we were together. She had some things she needed to deal with. She needed a little mental help, and I got all that for her, and we've been together ever since. It's crazy.
But
She's fly.
one comment you made to me was when you said, and she was just drop dead gorgeous.
Oh my God, she was. She had on a prairie top, a beautiful skirt, and a pair of sandals with her legs crossed. Her hair was swept up. She had these little librarian glasses on, and it was just instant. Oh my God, this is who I want. And that's who I ended up with. 18 years in July. It's amazing.
That's wonderful. You're a wonderful support for each other. The other thing is, I wrote with your bio that you were very active. Your subject tonight's going to be loss, because I know you've lost so many friends over the years. You lost them early on, as well as I don't know how recently, but this was the subject I wanted to discuss with someone who knows loss from many avenues. But also, you are involved with being an HIV/AIDS advocate.
For years.
And tell me why and how that happened so much, that you are involved with that so much.
I was a DJ at the Rainbow Connection in Longview, Texas. And I remember the very first person that I ever knew that was HIV. We had used cocaine together quite a bit. And I had stopped. And he came in the DJ booth one night and his hair looked too big for his head. And I helped him up in the booth and I told him, I said, darling, you've got to stop. It's going to kill you. And I'll never forget, he started crying and he said, Lisa, there's something wrong with my body and they can't find it. So he went to Galveston, which had the very first HIV center in Texas. And they determined that he was HIV positive. He was actually full-blown AIDS at that point. So he came home, he started working out, doing real well, and he came in one night and just shocked me. He was 3 times the size he was. He was very built, and he made it for several years, and then we lost him. And then the second case was my bartender, and he had a horrific place on his neck. It was just huge. And I told him, he said he was going to be off a few days, and I said, take as long as you need. And he had his collar up, and I said, let me see that. And I told him it was huge. I said, baby, he said, they're taking it out in the morning. I said, do not let them cut on you. and he was gone in a few months. But what was so horrific and really just motivated me to get in it is they called, I don't know how many nursing homes to come get that baby. Funeral homes, I'm sorry. And no one would. And they finally got a funeral home that was like an hour away. They came and got him. They put him on polyurethane plastic, rolled him in the floor, tucked it under each end of his body, and that's how he was buried. Never cremated, nothing.
It was cruel. You saw uh,
Mm.
AIDS when it was at its cruelest, when
Yes.
people were treated as lepers. I
Mhm.
really think COVID showed a picture for more recent times, how
Yes.
people dressed in the 80s and 90s when they didn't know a lot about something. So
Yes.
to protect themselves, people just wore everything that was isolation. And I
Yes.
think COVID showed what AIDS, for people who don't know, what AIDS looked like when it was in the beginning stages before people
Right.
understood. But you have lost several. You've lost many, haven't you?
Yes. Many. Too many.
And every
Um,
time it happens, how does it make you feel? Whether they've been personal friends or if people get from Texas because you live in Florida, or whether
mhm.
they're all over. You have a network of people all over, and I hope they're going to watch this. You must tell your
They
network.
will.
And they've got stories. I recruit everybody like this. You've got
They
a great
will.
talk. But how did it make you feel every time you lost someone?
I felt like I was dying at times and I couldn't do enough. What could I have done different? And you have to understand, I was running around as a lesbian with back pockets and front boxes full, pockets for condoms, giving them out at, during the thing, any night. Just here, take it, please. And I
Yeah,
was trying so hard to make people understand that this is not going away.
yeah,
Now, back to what you were talking about when we first met, back when I lost my Joel and you lost your Jeffrey,
yeah.
and I started following you. I think it was on Twitter. And I was like, wow, this lady's really cool and we have a lot in common. And it was years later we connected on Facebook and Messenger.
Yes, you were following me previously
Hmm.
for
Yes.
different things, of which X is not. I am not on X anymore. But
Hmm.
yes, you that's how you, because when you came across on Facebook, I said to you, you look familiar to me. And
Yes.
and I didn't quite put it where it was, but we'd met on social media
Yeah.
previously. But it
Hmm.
was reading my book. I think that's why, I've been through both my books I've read twice, and then I taught the writing class. And one
Right.
thing about writing is why I'm always telling people to please write. Write your journals, write your
Yeah.
diary, write. If I didn't journal Jeffrey's illness and then years later put it into a book, and there years later had the Lord tell me to read it, when I'm saying read it
Right.
on what, and asking him all sorts of questions, he said just read it. And I
Right.
found the time slot that worked, 5 to 5:30. That was it. I would never have met you. And as you have said, that reading gave you what, hope and the
Yeah.
will to, and something, what was it, something to look forward to. I want your words.
Every day. It was something to look forward to every day. And I would tell the aides, I don't want to be disturbed right now because this is me and my friend and we're good. And they wouldn't bother me. So they would stick their head in and go, is it over? And I'm like, yeah, come on in. But you gave me the will to live again. So thank you for that. Very much so.
The power of the pen, the
Yes.
power of the pen and a piece of paper, and the desire, not even to publish or do. I've encouraged you, didn't I? Haven't been encouraging you to write all
Yes.
your information down too?
Yes. Absolutely.
I don't expect people to become authors. I know a writer, we all can write. Writing
Hmm.
is you write your name on a document, you're a writer. But an
Right.
author is a special type of person who knows they want to see their story go somewhere. But it may
Yes.
not be when you think it is. It might be 30 years later, let's say.
Right.
The other thing is you are also so lost every time you've lost a friend from HIV or AIDS now, you feel like a part of your body is gone, your heart sinks. Does it bring everything back up?
Yes. Yes. I've lost fabulous entertainer friends. I think the one that destroyed me the most was Joel. And he was like my husband, my girlfriend, my best everything. Um, and it was really hard. Right when Joel told me he was sick, I got a hold of Elizabeth Taylor's AMFAR Foundation in California. So they would send me a thick book through the mail every 2 weeks. So I knew everything, all the new trials and everything. So when Joel would be in the hospital, I would say, wait a minute, what's that for? And I would come back with an answer. They were like, well, we don't know. Well, I do. It's for this. And then when he got the pneumocystis, he never really rebounded
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah. 3 bouts. Jeffrey too with the pneumonia, 3 bouts, and he couldn't do it anymore. He was really ill. The other thing is, what relationship was Joel with you again? Because I know he's the one that hits you the most.
He was my best friend. He was my wife. He was my husband. We were just everything to each other. We had talked about actually getting married and adopting children. And I was all for that because, as you know, I could never have my own. But I would have loved to have, adopted kids with Joel. But when he got so sick, it just, we didn't pursue it any farther.
And how is your family besides Patty? You have other extended family and friends. When
Yeah.
you come out as a lesbian and Patty and you're married officially, how have your family or friends, how they handled everything?
Phenomenally well, actually. My Aunt Shirley loves her. My sister Sandy loves her. Everyone loves her. It's just, and here in Florida, we're known as Lisa and Patty everywhere we go. Not Lisa O'Brien and Patty Nikolai. It's Lisa and Patty. So everybody knows we're married. I use my cane. She'll hold my hand, and we walk through all kind of places. But people just know us as Lisa and Patty, and it's been wonderful here. Very accepting, and we're accepted back home too. So,
Yeah, the biggest thing is that I think there's still the stigma of it all. And if
oh
this
yeah,
if this show can do anything, it'll present the different faces. Like you're
sure,
HIV negative. You got involved because your friends passed. You had
yeah,
great gay friends. They passed. You're negative. People on the show, sometimes I think people think that you have to be diagnosed with it, with
mhm,
HIV, long term, short term. Not it. These are organizational people, caregivers, people who've known
yeah,
people. That's why with you, I wanted loss and for you to go into detail because I know you always talk about Joel and
yes,
we talk about what a good person he was and how every time you lose someone, I stopped going to funerals in general. Even now, holidays, I don't go to. I just don't. Every
right,
holiday still brings up Jeffrey. Have I gone forward? Absolutely, but every time somebody dies I can't go to any more funerals. I just
no,
won't do it
no, you
anymore.
can't,
I wish I went to as many weddings and bar mitzvahs as I have funerals.
right,
It's not it anymore. But one other thing is you are very involved with the National Hotline Suicide Prevention. How'd you
yeah.
get into that? And tell me in depth all about that because I was involved with the suicide prevention for a long time.
Actually, my beautiful wife, is the main reason I'm involved. She was in the shower one night, and I let her shower. She was doing her thing, but I had to really use the restroom, so I went in, and she was drying off, and she looked at me with this real funny look, and she said, "I couldn't get the razor apart." And I was like, "Okay." So I came back in the bedroom, and she came in, and I said, "Look, baby, we're going to do this one of two ways. Either you go, I take you, you go in, and you admit yourself, or I'm going to have to Baker Act you." And she was gone from me for 5 weeks, horrific weeks. But I couldn't handle that. And now she's good. She's real good. And then I had another friend down in Bryan, Texas, whose husband committed suicide. And it just made me become an advocate and to be here. I put on Facebook all the time. I don't care what time it is. You can call me. I would rather you call me than me attend your funeral. So
And
I've helped a few out.
Have you lost any, have any of your friends committed suicide who have had AIDS?
Yes. Um, world-renowned entertainer, lived in Houston, Texas. Um, and he chose to take his own life. He laid out all of his clothes, his shoes, everything. And when they found him, he was laying very peacefully on the couch asleep. And it broke my heart because literally he had just performed for me at the second club we opened up. And he kept going to the door and coming back and hugging my neck. And he said, "I love you so much." And I said, "I love you so much." And he looked at me and he said the most profound thing to me. At the time, I didn't understand it. And it took me a few years to catch it. He said, my hope for you is you never wake up feeling like a dinosaur, like you're the only one here and everyone else is gone."
Hmm.
And that spoke volumes to me because it's true. I've become a dinosaur and I have my memories.
Yeah, but they only go so far.
Oh yeah, they do.
They
And if
go,
I could, if I could have Joel back, I would have him back, but not the way he left. See, what people don't understand, Susan, and I know you do, it's not HIV that kills you or even AIDS. It's some weird thing that, like, I had a friend in Texas, he got cat scratch fever and he became blind. Another friend that I spoke to you about earlier, about the AIDS pantry, he aged literally from a handsome young model to a very old gray haired man in 2 weeks, and we lost him. It's always something else. And what people don't realize is we have everything in our bodies that people with HIV have. But unless you're HIV positive, it never affects you. It's
and the
crazy.
medication. Yeah, do you have friends that are on medications now and are doing very well?
Most of them are no longer on medication and they're still with us. I'm proud for that. Some of them are on the low maintenance, but they're still here.
That's wonderful.
They're still,
I
yeah.
want to give you it's yours is the national network that to say that this National Suicide Hotline,
Yes,
and I want to give that number. It'll be up on the screen, but it's one eight
yeah,
hundred 273 8255. And
yes.
Richard will put that up on the screen as well as your contact information.
Thank
We
you.
would contact you on Facebook and
Okay.
that and tell me your Facebook again, your handle. I want you to say it.
It's under Lisa O'Brien. Just Lisa O'Brien. OBRY as in Yankee AN.
I've never done it with the Y. Isn't that awful? As years as I've known you, you're
It's
IEN
okay.
to me. That's how
I
it's
know.
always been. But I think the national suicide, I have most recently, and I don't talk a lot about what I do with HIV that much anymore. I'm involved. I'm going to become a member in the future of the Palm Beach County HIV Care Council. I'm going to all their meetings, and
Cool.
it's going to be a member.
Good.
And we promote testing. Obviously, Richardo is very big. I mean, Richardo's been in the field for a very long time with
Right.
testing and promoting the resources. We Palm Beach County is very well resourced, but people have to
Right.
know how to get to the resources, how to
Right.
get transportation, how to get housing, how to get to the availability for funding. But we're very good
Right.
here in Palm Beach County, but there's so much more to do. And with the number again for the National Suicide Hotline is 1 800 273 8255. And that is
Yes.
the National Suicide Hotline. If you know
Yes.
anybody under certain circumstances, 211. Are you involved with 211 at all?
No, I'm not.
All right, 211 is for a lot of things, obviously.
Okay. Oh yeah,
They'll
yeah, Medicaid and all kind of thing. Housing
elder abuse,
assistance.
child
Yes.
abuse. It's very generic. He has it up on the
Right.
screen, which is wonderful. But this
Good.
opportunity came along. and there's so many more people to interview, but every story's been so exciting. And I
Right.
go back and I thought about how I wanted you so badly on the show because I knew that I could discuss openly or get how people are connected. There is
Yes.
no way you and I would have met if it
No.
wasn't for, and then it was lost talking to you about your friends you've lost and
Yeah.
talking to me how it hurts and being married for all these years and being an
Yeah.
out married lesbian, couple. There still
Yes.
have to be some challenges to that at times.
Honey, if there are, they're in the future and they haven't come yet. But you know what? I will accept I'll face it head on.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
great.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just Lisa and Patty.
But the stigma, a show like this
Yeah.
will help keep removing the stigma because people think it is all about people who have HIV. It had nothing to
Yeah.
do with all of that. What's the
No.
component? You're an activist. That's the other thing. All our guests that we've had, it's activism. Wouldn't you say if
Mm.
you knew a friend of yours was recently diagnosed, you would do everything you could to get
Oh
them to
yeah.
resources, to the health department, to somewhere to tell what
Absolutely.
you? I mean, you have resources in Longview, or more would you refer them outside?
It depends on where they live. I have friends in multiple states that I can call up at any time and say, "Hey, I need the best resource for HIV," and I'll get it. I haven't give up, Susan. You have to remember when I was a DJ in Longview, it was back way early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and the police would walk in and just shine the flashlight in your eye and go, "Well, you're going to jail." And I would get out from my booth and go, "No, they're not." And they wouldn't take them. But you can't come up to somebody in a dark club and hit them with a flashlight. Of course, their eyes are going to dilate. But you went to jail back then for being gay or lesbian.
Yeah.
So I fought all that too. It doesn't, it has never bothered me. I stood on the back of an 18-wheeler truck in Kroger parking lot preaching to whoever would listen, giving out condoms. I didn't care.
My eyes were
When
open
I
because I
believe in something, and you know that, when I believe in something, I do it.
well, you know what I'm telling you I want you to do, don't you? Who's the
Oh,
one?
yes, ma'am.
Who's the one?
Cameron Hall.
And
Cameron
I
Hall
sent
is your
you
favorite.
and I sent you a whole list of gay actors
Billy
in Hollywood,
Porter.
didn't I? Oh, he's wonderful.
Mr. Billy Porter.
Listen, but I was
Right.
just going to tell you something else. Oh, and I forgot because I've known you for so long, but then we hardly ever talk, and I know you for so long, and it's so wonderful. Um, you were also, I love this. You were a bartender and a DJ. Tell me
Yes.
about those bartending days, where and your DJ days, and you probably met a lot of gay guys then.
I really wasn't a bartender. I would help out when they were slammed. But I was, excuse me, I ended up with this job at this gay bar, and I was still straight at the time, mind you. Our straight music was way different than gay and lesbian music. So when I got in the DJ booth, I just froze and I'm like, I don't know what to do now. So I would just pick something to have a beat, pack the floor, and then mix in something else that had a beat. And then I started going to Dallas every weekend. Joel and I would go, and it was this real cool record shop, and you could have wine, and I would get to top 10 vinyl, 12 inches. And
Vinyl.
I would put it on the to play it, and they would just look at me, and I'd be like, "Oh hell no, if you don't get out there and dance, I'm going to play Dolly Parton DIVORCE all night long." And then they would get on the floor. So I loved it, and I was very good at what I did. I loved it, and I created Joel's actual Miss East Texas pageant number.
Oh, did you do it
It
for
was from
Jeff?
Dreamgirls, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, in the 80s, that's when Jeff and we lived in Houston, in a part of Houston
Yeah,
called Montrose, a very, very delightfully
yeah,
artsy. Yeah. And there were several times when I was moi dressing crazy and I was judging the
of
Miss
course.
Gay or the Miss Gay Texas in drag. And
Yes,
at 4 o'clock in the morning, when the bars would close, I'd have them over for breakfast because we were right around the corner. So breakfast would
Sure.
have consisted of more pot, more alcohol, brownies, other desserts. All we wanted was to smoke, stay high, and eat chocolate. So
Yeah.
I had ovens that were constantly going with baked goods in 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning with some of the most elegantly dressed Liza Minnelli's and Barbara Streisands
Yeah.
and Diana Rosses. We were so stoned. We were so high. We laughed so hard and we ate until we were going to throw up. Wasn't it fun?
Well,
It's some of it was
yes,
fun.
it was a lot of fun. And if you are talking about Liza Minnelli, you're talking about my dear friend Naomi Sims. And if you're talking about Diana Ross, you're talking about my dear friend Jimmy D. And I promise you, that's who you were partying with because Houston was their home.
Uh,
It's
you have
crazy. We're
you have
connected way back.
yeah. But you have several friends now that I notice who are doing and gorgeous in drag. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
magnificent. I mean, there's no
Yes.
better. A woman can't duplicate what a man can do when they dress up like that and just have the makeup right and all that. It's gorgeous. I mean, the
It
pageants make
is.
the universe seem like nothing.
Yes.
So Lisa O
Wonderful.
B R Y A N, Lisa O B
Um,
R Y A N on Facebook, and we have uh, national suicide, the national suicide hotline as one eight
yes.
hundred 273 8255. You also work though with people who have disabilities, don't you? You are, I know, challenged yourself. You have some limitations, but don't you also help or channel people who have disabilities to organizations?
Sure. And my brother is in a rehab place now. And I talked to him earlier and he's doing really well. People don't understand when you need medical equipment at home, like a walker, you have to measure one's height to the walker. So I take a shorter walker because I'm short. He's 6'2", so he needs a taller walker, and he just got one today, and he did really well with it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I have done everything from that to having my own team at the Special Olympics, and we
Oh, really?
won. It was phenomenal.
The Special
I didn't
Olympics?
know I was doing it. Yes.
Know about that? Tell me.
The Kennedy Special Olympics, they supported all that. And I had a
Uh,
girlfriend at the time, so I'd gone down for the weekend, and she had these two boxes on the bed. But one's a pair of brand new Nikes, and the other was this phenomenal Nike, um, like not like a sweatsuit, but like a sporting suit. And I was like, "This is cool. I don't know where I'm going to wear it, but it's cool." And she said, "Oh well, you're volunteering in the morning for the Special Olympics." And I'm like, "I've never done that." She goes, "You'll be great." So we get there, and I talk to all the kids, and they're all over me. Those children are wonderful, Susan. They're wonderful kids. They have a lot of disabilities, but my
yeah.
team won the entire thing. My team won, so I was very proud. Very proud.
And you're an advocate, I'm sure, for testing, and do you have
Yeah.
a health department or do you have good doctors, infectious disease doctors and health clinics and places right nearby that if you know someone
Yeah.
needs to get tested, because that's still the first line of defense to have a good doctor and get tested and get on meds early. Do you have that where you are in Longview,
Yeah.
Florida?
Well, I'm in Florida now, but we
Uh,
have Okaloosa Health Center, which tests every day for AIDS. We have an infectious disease center here. Now in Longview, I'll never forget, they threw out that, well, we got these two lesbian doctors moving to Longview, and I don't think that's going to work real well. Well, it did. And the one doctor, Dr. Schottstad, is the one that I thoroughly enjoyed working with. She quit being a doctor and became infectious disease doctor.
Great.
So she and I got real tight when Joel was sick. And she was like, "Lisa, how do you know all this stuff?" And I said, "Because of these books." And she's like, "Wow." And she started getting those books. So it was just cool. But there's a lot of places here, all throughout Florida that do the proper testing, and I think everybody should be tested from time to time. They
Well,
should.
yeah, I think it should be part of one's physical when you go every
Yeah.
year for your
Yes.
blood work, and you
Mhm.
have to have your cholesterol checked, your sugar checked,
Yeah.
CBC. Uh, I think that that should be a part of it. They're taking blood anyway. Why can't you run
Yeah.
an HIV test? I
Yeah.
mean, what's the big
Exactly.
deal? It's still supposed to be all private. It's not like it's costing you any money. Why can't that
No.
be? And that's what I'm going to be advocating. That's what I'm an advocate for. Why can't that be a part of someone's health care for their
Sure.
physical? I mean, I can understand perhaps applying for a job, it gets a little personal, though they drug
Right.
test, or they should, or it could be another way, getting, just in general, it might be challenging, but you having a physical, what could be more physical than finding out you have HIV, getting on meds early, getting a
Right.
good, getting on counseling, and living a full and productive life?
Yes. I
And
agree 100%.
yeah, and the other thing is, I said Palm Beach County is rich with resources. I feel more badly for the people who truly live in real rural areas, real rural, where they may have to drive an hour to a doctor or 2 hours to a health department, or they don't even have a computer. They don't even have access to be able to get the information.
Right.
Those are the people I still know who I have to
Yeah.
somehow work through the system to get them channeled to here. And I don't talk
Right.
about, make a big deal out of it, but I do every once in a while. Someone messages me or textbooks me or does something or emails and said, I live in such and such and I don't know where to go. I don't have access to the internet that's good.
Right.
So right away I call them back, or people know my phone number. It's on my website, susanmintz.com. It's
Mhm.
not hard to find me. And I will, little by little, I can somehow manage to get them what they need. It's hard, but
Yes.
not everybody has the resources that Florida has, that maybe even Texas. I don't know how behind the eight ball they are. New York is good, California, progressive states, but I
Mhm.
think probably a lot of states that you don't want to be gay in, you don't want to come out in, you don't want to be married in, if they'll even marry
Yeah.
you. So it's still big and challenging, but I do hope that a show like this, that's very necessary and needed, and I know you'll share. This woman is the best sharer. It wouldn't matter if I said, go to the bathroom. She would share it. She put it on her
Mhm.
Facebook page. Susan went to the bathroom. I mean, this
Yeah.
woman, I have gotten so close because of this. And I mean, she will. She posts absolutely everything. She's the most wonderful friend, loyal, compassionate, caring, and through all your adversities, I am so proud of you because there was a time you didn't think you'd ever come back.
No, I didn't.
And when
There
you
have been a
said,
few times.
yeah, but when you said you were coming home, and when you said that you were going to be
Yeah.
taking a trip, or you were going to be going to Texas, that was
Yes.
something. And I hope
Yeah,
you'll,
we had a Boston trip.
yeah, it was a good time. Do you have
Yeah.
friends? I think I asked this before. Do you have friends now that are HIV positive?
Yes, many, many. Just touched base with the guy the other night that was one of my performer friends, and I didn't know he was HIV positive, but he's been HIV living good, well, HIV positive, and I want to get him up with you. He'll be a great interviewer. He's phenomenal,
Yeah, I know who
and
you mean.
I'm going to hook you up. Yes.
I know exactly who you mean, and I've been looking forward to him. But of course, I won't say anything except I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't think any of us will ever be able to do enough. If you have the heart to serve, our guests have all been such community-based people and love for their community and active
Mhm.
and active in that I don't think
Yeah.
once you committed to something like you had a brain tumor, I think
Mhm.
once you get involved or you've known people who've lost from AIDS, you've lost people from suicide. when you get together in that kind of a mental state where you know you have something you can contribute, you can bring someone
Right.
out of the depths of despair. You could be that one email away, the one call away, the one hug away, the one smile away. And that's what I think Positively Positive can do when it
Yes.
continues to reach the people it's reaching, is to give you hope and that you're not
Mhm.
alone. And if anything, tell your story because it's going out. It may not be thousands, but it could be that one person's life you're saving. I'll never forget
Mhm.
how that happened with you and me and how proud
Mhm.
I am. Where's Miss Patty?
She's in here with me.
Is she? Can she
Yeah,
stick
she's had a migraine for a couple of days, so she's kind of been down.
at a migraine? We'll pray that out of her.
Mhm.
Rebuke that, Patty. I hope she was sticking her
She
head
said
in.
you need to.
No.
Today's a little better. They get bad, but today's a good day. It's better
And
than yesterday.
sometimes we've been cut off in general. So I always want to get my thank yous in and then we can continue talking. You'll see Richardo Jackson's information about testing. You'll see his phone number. If someone wants to come on the show, all they have to do is get in touch with me,
Okay.
Facebook or message or something, and I'll send them the link. And
Okay.
then they can call them on the screen and they can get the link that way. And we'll be booking in January now, February, and your interview probably won't even air till the end of March because we air every Monday, but it's almost every other Monday at this point. So we're having a surplus of interviews, which is wonderful because
That's a good thing.
we want to have a little backup. But it'll be every other Monday, especially starting the first of the year, because there's other things that Richardo is doing in the community. He's so community based and wants to give
Yeah,
everybody that opportunity, and he deserves to have everything good come his way. I wanted this show
absolutely.
for 20 years. I've mentioned this show to many, many friends many times, but nobody came along who saw the vision. And with the passion he has, it's amazing how it just happened that I mentioned it to him. He said, let's just do it. And I said,
Yeah.
well, I think we need a gimmick. So all summer I started becoming this character with everything. And I said, if you want to get picked up today, I don't care today, yesterday, or 10 days, decades ago, you need a gimmick. Well, my gimmick is I want to look as outrageous as possible. But then when this all comes off, we're talking about some serious stuff,
Right.
aren't
I
we?
love it.
So Lisa O'Brien on Facebook and with
Yes.
the National Suicide Hotline and with people who have disabilities and people who are challenged and just people who need some encouragement. I encourage you to go check her out and see what a woman who's come through so much is all about. She is a true epitome of Positively Positive. So I
Thank
thank
you.
you, Lisa O'Brien, for being my very, very special guest on this
You're very
wonderful. And we will speak. And I don't have to share when this comes out, do I? I don't have to say share. I just have to say thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
And God
I love
bless
you,
you.
my friend.
I love you too. We will meet again. We will meet one day.
Sooner than you think. Probably in March.
Well, that's giving me some hope.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa,
Yes.
for everything.
Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure.
We might be getting ready